All right, we are live today here on the Bitcoin Daily Show on X Spaces. Had an awesome show this morning, killer show, Macro and Brad, Nuclear, Justin. Had a lot of good speakers on stage. Just want to cover some of the highlights that we had this morning. We'll start off with a little political discussion we're having around the cover fire that Trump laid down for Bitcoiners, Bitcoin community. I think in general, what we need to understand is that not too long ago, we got pretty much laughed off the stage as Bitcoiners in discussions at Thanksgiving dinner. You name it, it was just not really an asset class that was taken seriously. However, with recent events of Larry Fink coming out and endorsing that, saying that Bitcoin is a flight to safety, with Trump himself saying words like just using the Bitcoin word, with also words like taking self-custody, guaranteeing protection of U.S. citizens to be able to take custody. This will take the conversation to a whole nother level. If for anything, it just opens up the door for us to be able to have these conversations with more Bitcoiners in our family, in our circles, so that people can be open to learning more about the asset class. So in my opinion, this was a huge win, whether this is just Trump getting votes or if he is truly opening his mind up to the possibility that Bitcoin could be good for the nation, good for the population, good for Americans, good for the whole planet. Only time will tell. My hope is that because Trump has a background in owning assets and real estate and property, that this should be right up his alley, him having a financial background. My hope is that he's a quick study on what is Bitcoin. He doesn't take the years that we took to understand it, and perhaps he can get on the Bitcoin bandwagon and help us usher in a new age into this planet here. All right, so a couple other things I wanted to add is Bitcoiners are kind of a one-issue voting block. So I think politicians are going to start looking at Bitcoiners as a voting block that needs to be addressed, that needs attention. I think they're going to start seeking our votes, but they also are going to start seeking funding from us. A lot of institutional money, a lot of high net worth individuals, family accounts, even pension funds, stuff like that. A lot of investors are coming in with much larger checkbooks, not just votes. And of course, politicians need votes and they need campaign donations. So I think as the Bitcoiners become more affluent, as they become a recognized voter bloc, that we're going to see a lot of politicians playing nice with Bitcoin. I think that's all. This is a new era for us. This is a new time that we've never had before. Can't wait to see how all this plays out. Should be pretty exciting. All right, so energy and Bitcoin mining. That was our show today. For those of you that don't know, we do a daily show, me and about 9 other hosts, 8 a.m. to 8 to 10 a.m. every day Eastern time here on X. We talk about Bitcoin and all the different facets of it. I'll go over kind of a rundown of the shows, but today was a special show, one of my favorite. For those of you that don't know, I was an electrical engineer. I've been an electrician for, I guess you still are an electrician. So I've been a master electrician my whole life, multi-generational. And so today's show is near and dear to my heart because I love electricity. I love power generation. I love it. I love it. Grid scale power generation. I like studying it. I like to see how life flourishes around it. Where there is abundant electricity, humans flourish. And that is just a fact that you can look around the world and see where the wealthiest nations are the most electrified nations. They have the most abundant power grid and they have the cheapest electricity. So it really is an equation coming together that is getting ready to be revolutionized. So here's the discussion. Now, for those of you that have heard me speak, I have had a recent conversion. As of last week, I was on the renewables, solar, and wind paired with batteries, grid scale batteries, big batteries like the ones that Tesla's making with the mega packs. But recently we had a guy named Justin. And for those of you that don't follow him and another guy named Nuclear, we listened to the show this morning. If you're an engineer and you are listening, your mind might be changed. In an hour and a half, I was completely flipped on from solar, renewables, um, and I've been following Tesla, and I'm a big believer in Elon Musk, early investor in his stock, own a Tesla, been a Tesla fanboy and an Elon Musk fanboy for as long as I can remember, and still am. But this is a compelling case. I want to learn more about it. I want to bring y'all more about it, but let me just lay it out for you. So there's all kind of ways to produce grid scale electricity, right? The old fashioned way is just coal, burning natural gas, um, petrochemical, pretty much just is how we all started this. Then well, of course, now you've got hydro. So, but most of the developed nations have already dammed up all their rivers that they can. And so there's not a lot in the developed world, any more rivers to be damming up for hydropower, even though I think that's one of the best ways to do it. We've got two others coming up. Oh, and then comes renewables. So we've got solar, we've got wind. The problem is they're intermittent. When the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow, we don't have power. Problem with solar is it is producing power kind of when we don't need it. It's producing power during peak generation. Both of these are also very susceptible to weather. So big windstorms, big hailstorms can take out your wind and solar. Now, wind and solar just don't make a lot of sense without battery. And so I think this is why wind and solar has not made sense for a while. In come Tesla, needing a ton of batteries for their transportation and building these massive mega packs the size of sea cans, containers, and dropping them right in the middle of the grid to be able to store the sunlight during the day and dole it out at night. So this seems like a great combination. And up until this point, I was convinced this was the way to go, that as we get abundant electricity is going to come from solar and wind and battery paired, and this is our future. And I had this guy named Justin come on the show and literally just lay out an unbelievable plan. Today we had a guy his name is Nuclear. I need to find out his real name, get him back on the show. He's a contributor to our Thursday energy and mining, Bitcoin mining show. He laid out a very similar plan. And these two guys are engineers that have been in the energy business for quite a while. So let's talk about Nuclear. Nuclear, as we know, has been burdened by red tape and been kept down a lot by politics and red tape, safety concerns. And this has always kept Nuclear kind of beat down because the cost of getting through all this red tape has just proved to be just insurmountable and take decades just to get approval. It takes decades just to get declined for a nuclear powerhouse. Now, again, me just being a lowly electrical engineer, I'm still learning about this, but I want to dig more into this for the community here at Bitcoin, at the Bitcoin Daily, and then also for the engineering and the energy community, because I think this can actually be the future. This is something I've just recently come across, and so let's dig into it a little more. If Nuclear were allowed to compete in a free market alongside of all the other ways to produce electricity, cost per kilowatt would be the cheapest. Unfortunately, we have a lot of red tape around Nuclear, a lot of red tape around getting permission to build Nuclear. That doesn't mean that the technology is not the technology we want. It just means there's some unforeseen forces making it to where it's just not a fair competition. So what happens when this becomes more of a fair competition? And I'm going to tell you where I think this is going to become more of a fair competition towards the end of this. But now let's look at Bitcoin mining. One of the problems with Nuclear is you really got to build it at scale. Unfortunately, unless you're building a 1,000 megawatt nuclear facility, I know there are some people that are working to build much smaller, and I think they're making good progress on these micro nuclear plants, size of sea cans, much smaller. God bless them. I hope they make it because we need that. But right now, the best way to build Nuclear is if you're going to go through all the red tape again, you just even build a big one. 1,000 megawatts is a good size. If you come onto the show, ask the guy that actually hosts the show, Matt, Macro Minutes, he does a great job. This is his industry of explaining what the costs are for building a nuclear powerhouse this big. Now, here's the problem. When you build one of these, you may not be able to sell all the electricity that this nuclear powerhouse can produce on day one. Matter of fact, it might take a decade to scale up the infrastructure and to scale up the demand to consume this. So here you've got this very expensive asset. You're laden with debt. You've overcome all these hurdles politically and red tape wise. And now you've got these off-peak times where you can't even sell all the power that you could generate. So that's what we would call an idle asset, just sitting, doing nothing. Now, inbound Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin mining can co-locate. What I mean by co-locate is on the same piece of property you build a nuclear powerhouse, you can drop C cans of Bitcoin miners to consume all the excess electricity. So for those of you that are in the electrical business, you know that the populations demand a lot of power twice a day for a couple hours, and the other 20 hours a day roughly there's these valleys. And that's where you have no one really buying power. The Bitcoin mines can consume all this off-peak power. They can also shut down during weather events. Let's just say where the grid gets a little broken and maybe can't produce as much capacity, you can tell the Bitcoin miners to just turn off. Okay, then they're not demanding. That extra demand can now go to the population, maybe the city that the nuclear powerhouse is providing power for. So this is something that is new. We've never had a client like Bitcoin that can turn off and on, so it's flexible during peak times or these valleys or during weather events. It's an on-demand customer that can buy as much power as you can make. It can co-locate. And here's another big one. It gives you a liquid asset that you can sell immediately. You don't have to find something to do with this excess power and then figure out how to sell it, distribute it. You can actually just sell it immediately, minutes after you make it, on off-peak time, on demand. And now this makes these big nuclear assets profitable on day one. Now they have a guaranteed customer that can literally be there before you even turn it on, ready to consume all the power that you could produce. Now, here's an interesting equation coming on the scene here. As we know, AI has huge energy demands. And as Sam Altman said in his interview, I think it was with Lex Friedman, watch that one, it's a good one. He says that the biggest constraint on AI is not chips. It's actually energy. That these data centers are going to consume massive amounts of energy. I think one of the big problems with nuclear is they just don't have the lobbying dollars that the petrochemical and even the renewables have on Capitol Hill to be able to represent themselves in the same capacity as solar and wind renewables, petrochemical, stuff like that. So where is this lobbying energy? Where's this lobbying power going to come from? And I think AI and nuclear now have the same problem. That AI, meaning Microsoft, Amazon, OpenAI, people that are in the AI business, which is a very profitable, very lucrative business where you can turn electricity into human level and soon to be human level intelligence, a growing level intelligence. So what a great reorganization of electricity. You're not turning it into motion. You're not turning it into heat. You're not turning it into light. Think of all the things that you can turn electricity into. You plug in whatever motor you want. You can get work done. But imagine turning electricity into human level intelligence. And we're getting there. We're getting closer and closer where these AI tools are getting smarter and smarter. And now all you need is the power to run them, and you will be able to put online human level intelligence. And right now, human level intelligence takes 20 years to grow, to get online, and it's very expensive, and it only works 40 hours a week and doesn't show up, and sometimes even complains from what I hear. So AI, as it reaches human level intelligence and maybe even exceeds it, still demands electricity. And I believe that Microsoft, Amazon, OpenAI, and the like will be fighting on Capitol Hill for the only energy source that could actually scale up fast enough, big enough, meaningful enough with consistency like nuclear. I'm not sure anything compares to nuclear. If the red tape and if the political path can be trailblazed by the AI companies, I think we're getting ready to watch the AI companies come to the defense of their only way out of this energy crisis that's getting ready to hit us as uh, Bitcoin mining and AI and the global population all are demanding more and more grid scale electricity. So, all that was discussed today on the show. I'm just giving a few pointers, highlights, and some of my own commentary here. So, what I'd like to do is kind of help promote the other shows because we got a really good lineup um, throughout the week. We start off, well, let me just start off with yesterday's show. So, yesterday's show is, look, and I got some banners here. All right, look at that. 101 Wednesday with Deanna and Joel. That was a phenomenal show yesterday. It was, give that one a re-listen. Deanna and Joel have dedicated their whole life to education. They're both PhD doctors. They're in El Salvador now, and they put on a fantastic show around Bitcoin education and not just Bitcoin, but what is money, which I think we all need a better understanding of what money is, how it works. For some reason, that was eliminated out of our educational system, but hopefully, with our contribution, we can help fill the gap. Let's see, today was our energy and Bitcoin mining. Brad and Macro did a great show about energy, about nuclear, about Bitcoin mining, how it plays its role. Always a great show. If you're an engineer, you will absolutely love this show. It's a little different content than most Bitcoin shows, but like I said, if you're an engineer, you're going to love it. Tomorrow, we have Bitcoin is Life with Tracy and Hector. Always a great show. They find people who are making Bitcoin their life. Either, kind of like me. I'm starting to make Bitcoin my life. It seems like that's all I do now. But there's others that are former veterans that make Bitcoin and try to connect veterans as they come out of the military. There's also they had a guy named Texas Slim that's the founder of the Beef Initiative. And so there's so many people that are incorporating Bitcoin into their daily lives, and Bitcoin is Life with Tracy and Hector is where they do it. Now, if you're looking for a Wall Street wrap up, if you're looking for a Wall Street analyst to come and give their take on what's going on with Bitcoin mining, as far as, excuse me, not Bitcoin mining, but with traditional finance, institutional money coming in, we've got two Wall Street analysts that come and give a great take on it. And fortunately, these guys have also done a good job of understanding what Bitcoin is. So that's rare that you get a Bitcoin mind and a Wall Street analyst mind all in the same head. So TJ runs that show. He's a CFO that helps a lot of Bitcoin nonprofits and startups. That's our Saturday show. We then have our Bitcoin at the Frontier with Fox. James does a great job of finding Bitcoiners out in the middle of nowhere that are starting these circular economies. Some of them are in the middle of cities. Some of them are in the middle of Africa, middle of the jungle, and they are just going to town using Bitcoin as a means of exchange and giving us their stories. So that's immediately following. That's the only show running from 10 to 12. So catch that one on this extra long Saturday. Now, I run a show on, Philosophy Sunday, which is where we talk about Bitcoin being part of man's search for truth, that man has always been searching for truth in so many ways, and what I believe has found it in Bitcoin, at least as far as his money goes, and how that ties into just man in search for truth in general. So we talk a lot of philosophy on Sundays. Usually we get through one or two meaningful questions if we're lucky. Have a lot of great philosophers that come onto the show. My personal favorite, and the only show I actually run in the whole lineup. That brings us to Meetup Monday with Kendall. She is our queen of meetups. If you have not started or going to your local Bitcoin meetup, you need to do it. These are some fantastic people. You are who you hang around, and so if you're hanging around a bunch of losers, you're going to be the next loser on the team. And if you're hanging around a bunch of winners, you're going to be the next winner on the team. So, Bitcoiners, in my opinion, are winning at life. They are value creators. They have extra money, looking for a safe home. Um, they are risk takers. They are not so prideful and arrogant that they are not going to question the status quo. These are not people easily bullied. Very super intelligent people, intelligent population, and you can meet them and should meet them in person at your local Bitcoin meetup. If you're ever in South Louisiana, I run 3 Bitcoin meetups weekly. We meet in Baton Rouge on every Tuesday at the Bulldog. We meet in New Orleans every Wednesday at the Bayou Beer Garden, and we meeting tonight every Thursday at Rev Coffee Lab in Lafayette. So Baton Rouge on Tuesdays, New Orleans on Wednesdays, and Lafayette on Thursday. So no excuse if you're in South Louisiana on a stretch of I-10 of not making one of these meetings, and we host them every week. So it's something we just started so that we can start kicking all the other states and showing them how Bitcoin's done properly and Bitcoin meetups are done properly. But right now we're playing catch up because there's a lot of great meetups across this country that are much older than ours and are doing a fantastic job. Just to mention a few, in Miami, they have a great weekly one. Austin has a great one that I've been to. Houston has a huge one that I've been to. I think Preston Pish is the one that helps run that, along with a few other guys over there in Houston. And then, of course, Nashville has an amazing one. And they have a home and a BitDev meeting the day before. It's an amazing setup they have in Nashville. Truly is one of the epicenters of Bitcoin. So we talk about all that, and then Kendall kind of runs a little online meetup towards the end of the show. So catch that one on Monday. It's how we kick off the week. Then we have Content Creator. This is where, kind of like I'm doing here, I love making content about Bitcoin. It's a new passion of mine. I'm getting better at just making content like this. You can hopefully see us improving just the tech and stuff. But imagine you want to write a book or you want to make videos. We go and find, I say we, it's a BT Cosmonaut goes and finds some of the best content creators anywhere on the earth in the Bitcoin space. And they come and tell us how they're doing, what they're doing, their mission and vision. And then they even give us some trade secrets on how they kind of get things going in their day-to-day and their content creation life. And then that brings us back to the 101 with Joel and Deanna. And then today in the Energy Show. So awesome lineup here every day, 8 to 10 a.m. on X Spaces. Love seeing everybody there, getting a lot of love and support. All of this is now being released on podcasting. Macro and Cosmonaut, BT Cosmonaut, are now releasing a lot of this stuff. I think 25 episodes. I think we're over 230th episode. So we've been at this for like 230 straight days every day without missing a single day. It's amazing how far we've come in such a short period of time. But it's also, I can't believe we've already made 230 episodes. So I'm going to try to give these video updates and promotions each day to try to bring more people into the community. Let me know in the comments if there's anything we can do better. And then if you're ever in South Louisiana on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, please come see me in one of the Bitcoin meetups. I'll buy you a beer and we'll use Bitcoin to do the transaction somehow. We'll figure it out. We'll use Lightning payments and I'll go buy it with cash or something like that. But love to see y'all. Love to meet y'all in person. I will be in Nashville. Can't wait to meet everybody and see everybody. Y'all have an awesome day, and let's go stack some sats. Thanks.